students. Today we will start next lesson, a new lesson, that is electrochemistry. Yani now we will start lesson electrochemistry. Here you see electro mean electricity or chemistry mean chemical reactions, we can say. In class 1 we have studied about redox reactions. A reaction which involves oxidation of one substance and reduction of other substance can be called a redox reaction. And in this lesson we are going to study about two aspects of redox reactions. One, how the chemical energy produced during a redox reaction can be converted into electricity. And secondly, we will study one more aspect of redox reaction, that is how electrical energy can be used to carry out a redox reaction which is otherwise non-spontaneous. Yani electrochemistry deals with two aspects of redox reaction. One, yani first aspect is how the chemical energy produced in a spontaneous redox reaction can be converted into electricity or electrical energy. And second aspect, how the electrical energy can be used to carry out a redox reaction which is otherwise non-spontaneous. So I will define electrochemistry. We can say it is the branch of chemistry which deals with two aspects of redox reactions. That is, first one, how chemical energy produced in a spontaneous redox reaction can be converted into electricity, or I will say electrical energy. And first aspect is how chemical energy produced in a spontaneous redox reaction can be converted into electricity or electrical energy. Mean, in this lesson we are going to study about electrochemical cells. Later on I will define electrochemical cell, a device which can convert chemical energy of the redox reaction directly into electricity is called electrochemical cell. And second aspect of this lesson is how electrical energy, yani electricity, can be used to carry out a non-spontaneous redox reaction. Yani we are going to study about electrolytic cells or electrolysis. Yani electrochemistry deals with two aspects of redox reaction. First, how the chemical energy produced in a spontaneous redox reaction can be converted into electricity, and second, how electrical energy can be used to carry out a non-spontaneous redox reaction. Yani we can say electrochemistry is the branch of science or branch of chemistry which gives a relation between or relationship between chemical energy and electrical energy यानी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. In electrochemical cell, the chemical energy produced in a redox reaction is directly converted into electricity, and in electrolytic cell, when electrolysis is carried out, electrical energy is consumed to carry out a redox reaction which is otherwise non-spontaneous, which otherwise does not take place itself. So in this lesson, we will start the first topic, that is electrolytes and electrolysis. Electrolysis. Before defining electrolysis, we should know the meaning of electrolyte. The chemical substance which conducts electricity either in aqueous solution or in its molten state with its chemical decomposition is called an electrolyte. What is an electrolyte? You see, any chemical substance which conducts electricity either in aqueous solution or in its molten state with its chemical decomposition is called an electrolyte. For example, sodium chloride, that is a salt, an ionic compound. We know sodium chloride in solid state is bad conductor of electricity. But when sodium chloride is dissolved in water or taken in molten state, so aqueous solution of NaCl or molten NaCl will be good conductor of electricity. And when electricity will be passed through molten sodium chloride or aqueous sodium chloride, aqueous solution of sodium chloride, it will chemically decompose. So such a chemical substance which conducts electricity in its molten state or in aqueous solution with its chemical decomposition is called an electrolyte. Now you see all the salts, acids and bases like salt, sodium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium sulfate, potassium sulfate, copper sulfate, potassium nitrate. They are salts, electrolytes. Acid like HCl, H2SO4, HNO3. Likewise, acetic acid, hydrogen cyanide, H2S. They are acidic substances. And bases like NaOH, KOH, ammonium hydroxide, they all are electrolytes. All the salts, acid and bases are electrolytes. But electrolytes are also further two types. Electrolytes are also further two types. I think you know. Strong electrolyte and weak electrolytes. Strong electrolyte, so I will say the chemical substance, or you can say the electrolyte, which completely dissociates or ionizes in aqueous solution is called strong electrolyte. For example, if we dissolve NaCl in water, it will dissociate almost completely. Likewise, suppose we dissolve HCl in water, it will completely ionize. If we dissolve sodium hydroxide in water, it will also completely dissociate. So this sodium chloride, HCl, NaH, they can be called strong electrolyte. And as strong electrolyte completely dissociate or ionizes in aqueous solution, so there will be more number of ions in their solution, and they will be very good conductor of electricity. Yani strong electrolyte are good conductor of electricity. And you can remember, strong electrolytes are salts, strong acids, and strong bases. Salts like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium sulfate, copper sulfate, they all are strong electrolytes. Strong acid like HCl, HBr, HI, HNO3, H2SO4, they are strong acid and they are strong electrolytes. And strong bases like NaOH, KOH, rubidium hydroxide, etc., they are the strong electrolytes. So all the salts, strong acid and strong bases are strong electrolyte, and strong electrolyte completely dissociate or ionizes in their aqueous solution. Their aqueous solution contain more number of ion, higher concentration of ion, so they are very good conductor of electricity also. Now the weak electrolyte. So the chemical substance or the electrolyte which partially dissociate or ionizes in aqueous solution is called a weak electrolyte. Yani a weak electrolyte does not dissociate or ionizes completely, it ionizes partially. For example, if we dissolve acetic acid in water, so acetic acid ionizes, it forms acetate ion and H positive ion. But all the molecule of acetic acid will not form ions. It will ionize partially. Likewise, if we dissolve formic acid in water, it will give formate ion and H positive ion. If we dissolve hydrogen cyanide in water, it will give H positive ion and cyanide ion. But these all acids will ionize partially. Likewise, ammonium hydroxide when dissolved in water, it will partially ionize to give ammonium ion and hydroxide. So these weak acids and weak bases like ammonium hydroxide are weak electrolytes. And as weak electrolyte ionizes partially in solution, so there will be less number of ion in the aqueous solution. And due to low concentration of ion in their solution, they will be poor conductor of electricity. It means strong electrolyte completely ionizes. In aqueous solution of strong electrolyte, there will be more number of ion, and their solution will be good conductor of electricity. Weak electrolyte will partially ionize in aqueous solution. In their aqueous solution, there will be low concentration of ions, and they will be poor conductor of electricity. If we talk about examples, so all salts, strong acid and strong bases are strong electrolytes, and weak acid and weak bases are weak electrolytes. As weak electrolyte does not ionize completely, so we can use what? Degree of ionization. That is represented by symbol alpha, and alpha will be equal to number of moles of weak electrolyte dissociated or ionized in solution divided by total number of moles of weak electrolyte add it to the solution. So degree of ionization या degree of dissociation is number of mole of weak electrolyte या number of mole of electrolyte dissociated or ionized in solution divided by total number of moles of electrolyte added to the solution. Now we come to our main topic, that is electrolysis. So I will say the chemical decomposition of an electrolyte on passing electricity through aqueous solution of electrolyte or its molten state is called electrolysis. Here electrolysis, electro mean electricity and lysis mean to break down. So the chemical decomposition or chemical breaking of an electrolyte on passing electricity through aqueous solution of the electrolyte or its molten state is called electrolysis. For example, you see, when we pass electricity through molten NaCl, so we obtain sodium metal at cathode and chlorine gas at anode. This will be called electrolysis of molten NaCl. I will explain in detail further. So when we pass electricity through molten NaCl, we obtain sodium metal at cathode and chlorine gas at anode. And this chemical decomposition of sodium chloride on passing electricity through molten NaCl, through molten sodium chloride, is called electrolysis of sodium chloride. So when we pass electricity through aqueous solution or molten state of an electrolyte, it gets chemically decomposed, and this chemical decomposition of electrolyte on passing electricity is called electrolysis. And the vessel, or you can say the device in which electrolysis is carried out, is called electrolytic cell. What is electrolytic cell? So the vessel or the device in which electrolysis is carried out is called electrolytic cell. In electrolytic cell there can be a glass vessel. Suppose it is a glass vessel in which you will take either molten or aqueous solution of electrolyte, and then you will place two metal rods. One of the metal rod will be connected with the positive terminal and other with the negative terminal of battery or electric source. These two metal rods are called electrodes, and the electrode which is connected with positive terminal of battery can be called anode, and the electrode connected with the negative terminal of battery is called cathode. And this whole device, whole vessel can be called electrolytic cell. So in electrolytic cell there will be a glass vessel in which you will take electrolyte either in molten state or in aqueous solution, then two metallic electrode two metal rod of some inert metal like platinum we can place. One of the metal rod will be connected with the positive terminal of battery, other with the negative terminal of battery, and this electrode, this metal rod connected with positive terminal of battery will be called anode, and other metal rod which is connected with the negative terminal of battery will be called a cathode. And this whole vessel, whole device in which electrolysis will be carried out will be called electrolytic cell. Now we will discuss mechanism of electrolysis. That is Arrhenius theory of electrolysis. Yani how electrolysis take place. So this we will discuss with one example. Suppose we have taken molten sodium chloride in a glass vessel in which we have placed suppose two rod of platinum metal, one connected with positive terminal of battery and other with the negative terminal. Yani one of the platinum rod is anode and other is cathode. So according to Arrhenius theory, first of all, electrolyte dissociates or ionizes. Yani in molten state, NaCl will dissociate to give sodium ion and chloride ion. We know in solid state of sodium chloride, sodium ion and chloride ion will be closely packed, they will be rigidly packed, they will not be free to move. But if sodium chloride is strongly heated and melted, then in molten sodium chloride, there will be free sodium ion and chloride ion due to dissociation of sodium chloride. Yani first of all, electrolyte dissociates. Now second stage of the electrolysis is when we pass electricity through molten state or aqueous solution of electrolyte, these ions will migrate toward electrodes. In molten sodium chloride there are sodium ion and chloride ion, and sodium ion being positively charged will move toward cathode. They will move toward negative electrode. And likewise chloride ion which carry negative charge, they will move toward anode. It means when we pass electricity, when we apply electric field on molten state or aqueous solution of electrolyte, ions will migrate toward electrode. Cation will move toward cathode and ion will move toward anode. And due to migration of ion, electricity will pass. Yani in electrolyte, ions are the charge carrying particle, and due to migration of cations and anions, electricity will pass through the electrolyte. Now third step is when these ions will move, these ions when reach to electrode, they are discharged. Yani cations will move toward cathode, and when cation reach to cathode, they take electron from cathode and they are neutralized. Their charge is removed. A removal of charge of ion is called discharging of ions. Like when we pass electricity through molten NaCl, sodium ion will move toward cathode. When they will reach to cathode, so they will take electron from cathode. Yani sodium ion will take electron from cathode and neutral sodium atom will be formed. This can be called reduction of cation. Yani metal ion will be reduced. And likewise chloride ion. which carry the negative charge. They will move toward anode, and when they reach to anode, they lose electron. Yani chloride ion will give their electron to anode, and neutral chlorine atom will be formed. That can be called oxidation of chloride ion. Mean you see, during electrolysis, cations will be reduced at cathode and anions will be oxidized at anode. Yani during electrolysis, cations will take electron from cathode and they will be discharged, and anions will be discharged by losing of electron. This gaining of electron can be called reduction or electronation of cation, and this losing of electron can be called oxidation or de-electronation of anion. Yani cations are reduced by gaining of electron and anions are oxidized by losing of electron. Now these cation and anion are discharged, and discharging of ion is also named as primary change. Discharging of cation by gaining of electron and discharging of anion by losing of electron, both is called primary change. Yani ions first undergo primary change. Now the last is the product of primary change either may deposit as such at electrode or they may undergo secondary change. Like when the sodium ion reach to cathode, they take electron from cathode and sodium atoms are formed, and these sodium atom will deposit as such at cathode. Mean only primary change will take place, no further secondary change will take place in case of sodium. But at anode you see chloride ion lose electron, they form chlorine atom, that is the primary change, and now chlorine atom will combine together to form chlorine molecule, that can be called secondary change. So the product of primary change either may deposit as such or they may undergo secondary change. So secondary change is not compulsory, it may or may not take place, but primary change always take place, and primary change means the discharging of ions. So I can repeat it. According to this Arrhenius theory of electrolysis, first of all, electrolyte dissociates or ionizes in aqueous solution or molten state, and free ions are formed. Ions will move toward electrode, and due to movement of ions toward electrode, electricity will pass. When ions reach to electrode, they are discharged. Cations are discharged by gaining of electron, and anions are discharged by losing of electron. And discharging of ions is also called primary change. Yani cations are reduced at cathode, that is the primary change, and ions are oxidized at anode, that is the primary change. And now product of primary change may undergo even secondary change, and in secondary change the neutral species, neutral atom will join together to form some molecular species. So this is the mechanism of electrolysis. Now we will discuss some important examples of electrolysis. One example I have already discussed and I will repeat it. First is, and in this topic we are going to study about examples of electrolysis, and first is electrolysis of molten sodium chloride. Electrolysis of molten sodium chloride. We know in molten sodium chloride, sodium chloride dissociates and it produces sodium ion and chloride ion. It means in molten sodium chloride there are only two type of ions, sodium ion, that is cation, and chloride ion, that is anion. Now when we pass electricity through this molten sodium sodium ion will move to a cathode, they will reach to cathode, and at cathode they are discharged, or I will say they are reduced, and the sodium metal will deposit at cathode. And now at anode, chloride ion, because in this molten NaCl there are chloride ion, there are anion, that is chloride ion, and chloride ion will move toward anode, and when they reach to anode, chloride ion are discharged by losing of electron, yani chloride ion are oxidized and neutral chlorine atom are formed. The discharging of sodium ion can be called primary change. Discharging of chloride ion is also called primary change. Now the chlorine atom which are formed at anode, they further combine to form chlorine molecule, that is the secondary change. It means when molten NaCl is electrolyzed, we obtain sodium metal at cathode and chlorine gas at anode. And if we combine these equations, so here you see in this fourth equation there are two chlorine atoms, so this can be multiplied by 2. In this there are now 2 electrons, so this equation can also be multiplied by 2. Here 2 sodium ion, 2 chloride ion are required, so this first equation can be also multiplied by 2. And if we add all 4 equations, so we have 2 NaCl that give 2 sodium plus Cl2. You can write it is molten NaCl, and then we are passing electricity, we are electrolyzing. So when molten NaCl is electrolyzed, we obtain two products, sodium metal at cathode and chlorine gas is produced at anode. So if I ask what product will be obtained on electrolysis of molten NaCl, so answer will be sodium metal is produced at cathode and chlorine gas is evolved at anode. And equations you can write accordingly. You can note down the equations. Now next is electrolysis of aqueous NaCl solution. Yani second example we are going to take, that is the electrolysis of aqueous solution of NaCl. Means in this case we have taken NaCl dissolved in water. And when sodium chloride is dissolved in water, it will dissociate, it will give free sodium ion and chloride ion. But as water is also present, and water also partially ionizes to give H positive ion and OH negative ion. So in aqueous solution of NaCl, there will be two types of cations, sodium ion and H positive ion, and there will be two types of anions, that is chloride ion and OH negative ion. So now when you will pass electricity through aqueous solution of NaCl, cations will migrate toward cathode and these anions will migrate toward anode, and due to that electricity will pass. But now you see the sodium ion and H positive ion both will reach to cathode. But we know hydrogen ion, H positive ion have more tendency to take electron as compared to sodium ion. Yani H positive ion can be more easily reduced. H positive ion have more tendency to take electron from cathode as compared to sodium ion. So H positive ion will be discharged preferentially than the discharging of sodium ion. Yani hydrogen ion will take electron to form hydrogen atom, that can be called reduction or primary change. It means if there are more than one kind of cations in electrolyte, then that cation is discharged first, that has more tendency to take electron, that has higher reduction potential. Reduction potential means the tendency to take electron. H positive ion has a higher reduction potential, so it is more easily discharged. So I will say the discharging potential for hydrogen ion is less. Discharging potential, यानी voltage required for reduction of hydrogen ion is less than the reduction of sodium ion, and that's why hydrogen ion will be discharged preferentially. Now the hydrogen atom which are formed at cathode, they will join together, they will form hydrogen molecule, that will be called Secondary change. It means during electrolysis of aqueous NaCl solution, hydrogen gas will be evolved at a cathode. Now at anode, we know these both ion, chloride ion and OH negative ion, both are anion, both will migrate toward anode, both will go toward anode. But when they reach to anode, chloride ion is more easily discharged. यानी discharging potential of chloride ion is less than hydroxide ion, and chloride ion will lose electron to form chlorine atom, that can be called oxidation, and this oxidation is also called primary change. And chlorine atom will join together to form chlorine molecule, that is the secondary change. It means when aqueous NaCl solution is electrolyzed, we obtain hydrogen at cathode and chlorine at anode. And sodium ion and hydroxide ion, yani sodium hydroxide is left in solution after the electrolysis. Overall equations, if we add, so here you see 2 hydrogen atom are required, so you multiply this equation by 2. Here 2 chlorine atom are required, so you multiply by this 2. These equations also you multiply by 2, and then you add. So we have 2 NaCl plus 2 water give 2 sodium hydroxide plus we will say hydrogen and chlorine. यानी in aqueous solution of NaCl, when we pass electricity, when we electrolyze, so we will obtain hydrogen gas at cathode, chlorine at anode, and sodium hydroxide will be left in solution. One more aspect of this electrolysis you see. Initially in aqueous solution of NaCl there was NaCl and water. And we know NaCl is a salt of strong base and strong acid. It is a salt of strong acid and strong base. So aqueous NaCl will be neutral and its pH will be 7 at 25 degrees Celsius. Yani before electrolysis, this aqueous NaCl solution will be neutral and its pH will be 7. But when we pass electricity and sodium chloride solution is electrolyzed, so gradually NaOH is formed in this solution. Sodium hydroxide is formed in this solution, and due to that pH of NaCl solution will gradually increase with passage of time during the electrolysis, and the solution became basic after electrolysis. Yani if I ask what will happen to pH of NaCl solution या aqueous solution of NaCl upon electrolysis, so you will say pH of aqueous NaCl solution will increase during electrolysis. That is due to formation of sodium hydroxide. Initially the pH of aqueous NaCl will be 7 at 25 degrees Celsius, but with passage of time pH of NaCl solution will gradually increase due to formation of NaOH in the solution. So now the third example we will discuss, that is the electrolysis of acidified water. Electrolysis of acidified water. Here suppose it is water, but we know pure water is very weak electrolyte because pure water ionizes to very less extent and there are very less number of H positive and OH negative ion. So pure water is very poor conductor of electricity. So to make this water good conductor, we can add few drop of sulfuric acid. And now this can be called acidified water. We added small amount of sulfuric acid. We know sulfuric acid is strong acid. It is strong electrolyte. It completely ionizes, and due to that, number of ion in water will increase, and this solution became good conductor of electricity. And now, if we pass electricity through this acidified water, then these hydrogen ions, whether they come from water or from sulfuric acid, these H positive ion are cation, they will go to cathode. And when they reach at cathode, they are reduced. They gain electron, they form neutral hydrogen atom that can be called prime rechange. And these hydrogen atoms will combine together to form hydrogen molecule, that is the scan rechange. Means during electrolysis of acidified water, we will obtain hydrogen gas at cathode. Now you see, the anion in the solution are hydroxide ion and sulfate ion. And hydroxide ion has more electron losing tendency than sulfate ion. Yani out of these two anions, hydroxide ion will be discharged, hydroxide ion will be oxidized at anode earlier than sulfate ion. And hydroxide ion loses electron to form neutral species OH, and it can be called oxidation or it is prime rechange. Now these OH free radicals will combine together, they will form water and half mole of oxygen, that can be called scan rechange. Yani during electrolysis of acidified water, hydrogen gas will be obtained at cathode and oxygen will be evolved at anode. And if we write a balanced equation, overall equation, it will be water give hydrogen plus half mole of oxygen. It means when acidified water is electrolyzed, we obtain hydrogen gas at cathode and oxygen at anode. And you can see when 1 mole of hydrogen is formed, in the same period of time, only half mole of oxygen will be obtained. It means the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen by number of mole will be 2:1, or by volume will also be 2:1, because volume of gas is directly proportional to number of mole of gas. So if we obtain 2 liters of hydrogen, so in same period of time we will obtain 1 liter of oxygen. If we obtain 1 mole of hydrogen, the oxygen will be half mole. Or if you obtain 2 mole of hydrogen, then 1 mole of oxygen will be formed. So here you see, pure water can't be electrolyzed because it is poor conductor of electricity, it is very weak electrolyte, and water can be electrolyzed after its acidification. And on electrolysis of water, we obtain hydrogen at cathode and oxygen gas will be evolved at anode. So here one thing you have to conclude now. One you see, if we have aqueous solution in which there are hydroxide ion and an ion like chloride ion, bromide ion, iodide ion, then these anions will be oxidized before the oxidation of hydroxide ion. But if there are carbonate ion, sulfite ion, sulfate ion, phosphate ion, nitrite or nitrate ion in aqueous solution, then these ions will not be discharged at anode. Before them, hydroxide ion will be discharged. Little cramming is required here. If aqueous solution of any salt, it contain chloride ion, bromide ion, iodide ion, and if aqueous solution is, then there will be hydroxide ion also. So before hydroxide ion, chloride ion, bromide ion or iodide ion will be discharged earlier. But if there are hydroxide ion and any one of these anion in aqueous solution, then hydroxide ion will be discharged first at anode and these ions will not be discharged. Fourth is electrolysis of molten lead bromide, PbBr2. But a lead bromide is an ionic compound and it is insoluble in water. So its electrolysis can't be carried out in aqueous medium. It can be electrolyzed only in molten state. So we will take lead bromide, it is strongly heated and melted, and then we pass electricity through molten lead bromide. So we know in molten lead bromide there will be lead ion and bromide ion. And when you will pass electricity, then lead ion, because there are only lead ion, that is the cation, which will go to cathode and it will be discharged. It will be reduced. That is the reduction of lead ion and lead metal is formed that will deposit at cathode. This can be called primary change. And lead will deposit as such, so there will be no secondary change. But at anode, bromide ion will be oxidized by losing of electron. That is the oxidation, or you can say primary change, and neutral bromine atom will join together to form bromine molecule, that is the secondary change. It means when molten lead bromide is electrolyzed, we obtain lead metal at cathode and bromine vapors at anode. And overall equation we can write lead bromide, that is in molten state, on electrolysis we will obtain lead and bromine. Lead metal will be obtained at cathode and bromine will be obtained at anode. And for electrolysis of lead bromide, we have to take lead bromide in molten state. It can't be electrolyzed in aqueous solution, because in aqueous solution, yani lead bromide is not soluble in water. It will not dissolve in water. Now the fifth example is electrolysis of aqueous copper sulfate solution using inert electrode. Inert electrode means electrode can be of inert metal like platinum, or we can use graphite electrodes which do not take part in a reaction. So here you see, suppose this is aqueous copper sulfate solution, and this solution is electrolyzed by using inert electrode, yani platinum electrodes. So we know in aqueous copper sulfate solution there are copper ion and sulfate ion, and as this solution is aqueous, so there is water, and water contains H positive and OH negative ion. Meaning this solution of aqueous copper sulfate, there are copper ion and hydrogen ion, and there are sulfate ion and hydroxide ion. So now when you pass electricity to these cations, yani copper ion and H positive ion, both will migrate toward cathode, both will reach to cathode, but copper ion have more more gaining tendency of electron than hydrogen ion. Yani reduction potential of copper is much higher than hydrogen ion. electron gaining tendency of copper ion is more than hydrogen ion. So out of copper ion and H positive ion, copper ion will be discharged first. Yani copper ion will be reduced and copper will be formed at cathode. That is the reduction of copper ion, or it is the primary change, and copper will deposit at cathode. Now at anode, out of sulfate ion and hydroxide ion, electron losing tendency of hydroxide ion is more. Earlier also I told the discharge potential of hydroxide ion is less than sulfate ion. Discharge potential means the minimum voltage required for discharging of this ion. Discharging of hydroxide ion require lower potential, lower voltage, and discharging of sulfate ion require higher potential, higher voltage. So there will be the oxidation of hydroxide ion, that is the primary change, and these hydroxide ion, these OH free radicals which are formed, they will undergo secondary change to give oxygen gas. यानी during electrolysis of aqueous copper sulfate solution using inert electrode, we obtain copper metal at cathode and oxygen gas is evolved at anode. And overall equation if we write, so here you see two OH free radical are required, so you will multiply by this equation by 2. This equation can also be multiplied by 2. So now we have copper sulfate plus 2 mole of water. On electrolysis we will obtain H2SO4, yani 2H positive ion and sulfate ion, plus you will obtain copper plus में half mole of oxygen. Water you can write 1 mole only. 1 mole water will be cancelled. So we will obtain copper at cathode, oxygen gas at anode, and this sulfuric acid is left in solution. So now you see, when this copper sulfate solution is electrolyzed using platinum electrode, we obtain copper metal at cathode, oxygen gas is evolved at anode, and sulfuric acid is formed in this solution. And due to formation of sulfuric acid, gradually pH of this solution will decrease. When this solution became more and more acidic with passage of time during electrolysis, that is due to formation of sulfuric acid or due to increase in concentration of hydrogen ion in this solution. Initially also this solution will be little acidic because copper sulfate is a salt of strong acid and weak base. Its aqueous solution is weakly acidic, but on electrolysis pH of this solution is further decreased and this solution became more and more acidic with passage of time. Now the sixth example is electrolysis of aqueous copper sulfate solution using copper electrodes. In this example, the difference is we will electrolyze copper sulfate solution, aqueous solution of copper sulfate, but these both electrode will be of copper. And we will carry out the electrolysis of copper sulfate, aqueous solution of copper sulfate using copper electrode. So first of all, you see in aqueous copper sulfate solution there are copper ion and sulfate ion, and due to ionization of water there will be hydrogen ion and OH negative ion. Now when you will pass electricity, then copper ion and hydrogen ion both will migrate toward cathode, but reduction of copper ion will take place because the reduction potential of copper is much higher than hydrogen ion and discharging potential of copper ion is less than hydrogen ion. In the ion which has more electron gaining tendency is more easily reduced at cathode. So copper metal will be formed at cathode. Now you see, at anode neither sulfate ion nor hydroxide ion will be oxidized. Even this copper metal which is used as anode itself is oxidized. यानी ड्यूरिंग द इलेक्ट्रोलाइसिस ऑफ aqueous copper sulfate solution using copper electrode at anode, copper itself will be oxidized and copper ion will be formed, and these copper ions will gradually come to solution, and from solution they will be reduced at cathode. Due to that, the thickness of this copper rod used as anode will gradually decrease, and due to deposition of copper at cathode, the thickness of copper rod used as cathode will increase. What I told, I will repeat. I said thickness of this copper rod used as anode will gradually decrease, and thickness of copper rod used as cathode will gradually increase. And some copper will be extracted from anode and that will deposit at cathode. But you see, in this case, the nature of this copper sulfate solution will not be affected. pH of this copper sulfate solution will not change even upon electrolysis. The reason is copper ion from solution will be reduced at cathode, and same number of copper ion will come from the anode in solution. So this solution remain intact, unchanged. There will be no change in concentration of copper ion in solution. Due to that, color of this copper sulfate solution will also not change, and there will be no change in pH of this solution. So when we electrolyze a salt using same metal as anode, then metal itself is oxidized at anode. And this process, or we can say this concept, can be utilized in two industrial applications. One, in purification of copper, yani in refining of impure copper, and second, in electroplating of copper, electroplating of metallic article with copper. Like first I will say, suppose we are going to refine impure copper. We are going to purify impure sample of copper. So that impure copper can be used as anode. This impure copper can be made anode. We can take a thick block of impure copper and that will be connected with positive terminal of battery, positive terminal of electric source, and it is now anode. And we can take a thin strip of pure copper as cathode, and aqueous solution of copper sulfate will be used as electrolyte. So we know in aqueous copper sulfate there are copper ion and sulfate ion. Water is there, then there will be H positive and OH negative ion. When you will pass electricity, copper ion present in the solution will be reduced at cathode and copper will deposit at cathode. But from anode, copper will be oxidized to form copper ion and copper ion will come in solution. So gradually the thickness of this anode rod will decrease and thickness of cathode rod will gradually increase. Yani copper will dissolve in solution from anode and copper will deposit at cathode. And impurity present in copper rod will be collected under anode and that can be called anode mud. Any impurity of like silver, gold or any other less electropositive metal if present in copper, so they will fall below the anode and they become the part of anode mud. Likewise, you see one more example. Electrolysis of aqueous silver nitrate solution using silver electrodes. Suppose this is aqueous solution of silver nitrate. Silver nitrate is dissolved in water and it is electrolyzed by using silver electrodes. So in silver nitrate solution there will be silver ion and nitrate ion, and due to presence of water there will be hydrogen ion and hydroxide ion. Now when you will pass electricity through this aqueous silver nitrate solution, silver ion present in the solution will go to cathode, they will be discharged at cathode and silver metal will be produced, and that silver will deposit at a cathode. And due to deposition of silver at cathode, the thickness of cathode rod will gradually increase. But as anode is made up of silver itself, so silver will be oxidized, silver ion will be formed, and this silver ion will come in solution. And if some impurity are present in silver rod, they will also be fall down and they will become the part of anode mud. So during this electrolysis, thickness of silver rod from anode will gradually decrease, and thickness of silver rod used at cathode will gradually increase, but nature of this solution will not be affected. Yani pH of this solution will not change, color of this solution will not change, or even concentration of silver nitrate in this solution will not change. But if we take electrolysis of aqueous silver nitrate solution using inert electrode, yani platinum electrode, if electrodes are of platinum, then what will be the change? So you know silver nitrate contains silver ion, nitrate ion, water contains H positive and OH negative ion, and when you will pass electricity, then silver ion will be reduced at cathode. But now anode is not of silver, so at anode there will be oxidation of nitrate ion or hydroxide ion, but we know out of these two ions, hydroxide ion is oxidized more preferentially because the discharge potential of OH negative ion is much less than nitrate ion, and these OH free radical will further undergo secondary change and oxygen gas will be formed. So when aqueous silver nitrate solution is electrolyzed using platinum electrode or inert electrode, then we obtain silver metal at cathode and oxygen gas will be evolved at an anode. So from these 8 examples, we have discussed concept of electrolysis. And in exam, generally questions are asked: what products are obtained on electrolysis of molten NaCl? What products are obtained at anode and cathode during electrolysis of aqueous NaCl? Yeah, what products will be obtained upon electrolysis of aqueous silver nitrate solution using silver electrode or using platinum electrode? So you can see this video properly. You can repeat it 2 times, try to understand, and if you find some difficulty, then you can ask me in classroom. Okay, thank you.